Hey, what's up guys? It's Nick from Fit Futures here with yet another answer to yet another question. Today's question comes from Terry in Otago, and Terry's question is, Nick, I've read about a thing called REDS, R-E-D-S. What is it? Very interesting question, Terry. Typically, REDS, which is relative energy deficiency in sport, was typically only observed in female athletes and was referred to as the female athlete triad. Okay, it was reclassified in a sense to REDS, relative energy deficiency in sport, because they were starting to see a lot of those same symptoms in male competitors. Now what it is essentially somebody who has restricted their calorie intake excessively over chronic periods of time and still elected to work out vigorously and intensely and consistently, almost 7-day-a-week stuff, in some cases even twice a day, okay, which is really, I wouldn't necessarily say abnormal, because there are some people that train 2 a day, but without that rest in there, it's really difficult to recover from any training content. And so what they found is that with the restriction in calories, there's a low energy availability. And that energy availability, or sorry, the lack thereof, is the key driving factor behind this particular condition. Now what it does is it impairs significantly on our ability to function physiologically. So that means it impacts on running, jumping, squats, deadlifts, any sort of thing that we would typically perform in our workouts and in our various training related activities. Now this kind of ties into people that experience overtraining, because a recent publication I read on REDS suggested that those that are experiencing overtraining are kind of on a downward spiral heading straight towards developing relative energy deficiency in sport. Remember that overtraining is based on the general adaptation syndrome, which is a model described by Hans Selye, who was a researcher. And it talks about, I've actually spoken about this in a previous video, but it discusses how when we train, we want the training content to be optimal. Now if the training content is optimal, right, we're going to perturb our homeostasis, okay, we're going to break down some muscle tissue or whatever, depending on the component of fitness that we are exploring. And then we also need our rest and recovery to be optimal. Now, if that's the case, we will experience what is called a supercompensation, which in layman's terms just means we are going to adapt to the training stimulus that has been applied to our body. However, if the training wasn't optimal and the rest or recovery is optimal, we're not necessarily going to improve, but we're not going to burn ourselves out. However, if we train continuously and excessively, it is frequent, it is prolonged, and rest and recovery either isn't there or it is suboptimal, then we'll find ourselves on this decline, never getting back to our baseline homeostasis and never surpassing it, and therefore never adapting to the exercise. That means we're going to see declines in strength, declines in fitness and well-being, and other measures of physical fitness and well-being as well. Power and all these other components of fitness will be negatively impacted. You'll find that you will stagnate, and not just stagnate, but start to go backwards in a lot of those components of fitness as well. Now, if you experience that, that means you're pretty much on the road to REDS. But, fortunately enough, the way to recover from REDS is to just rest, and to eat some food, and to eat a good amount of it, and make sure you're getting it from good sources. Typically, what people will do is they will restrict the calories because they've got concerns about getting fat and having that negatively impact on what they're trying to do from a physical standpoint or a competition standpoint. But then they're still training vigorously in pursuit of health and fitness goals. And then when you do that, you get that low energy availability, and the low glycogen stores just mean that eventually you're going to burn yourself out. Okay, so eat, rest, repeat. Eat, rest, repeat. And make sure that you're training in there and make sure the training is optimal. And if you can do that, you will avoid REDS. So Terry, I hope that answers your question. Hope that gives you a little bit more insight into what the condition is, and I hope that you can avoid it too. Guys, for more video content, check the link, and as always, until next time, please keep safe.